But if you don't know what it's like to stand behind a chair for 12 hours a day and do someone's hair and build these personal relationships with people and do all of these things, you don't really understand, you don't really get it. So Matrix were amazing because they said, yes, we want you to talk about business, we want you to talk about your passion, hairdressers out there want that, and they welcome me into the family, so that's why I'm here. Anyway, let's talk about something. So, part of the amazing thing as well of being with a company that is globalized and has this reach is the information, right, that you're privy to, and the statistics and information you can get that can actually help, and I can bring to you guys. So Salon Emotion is really looking at the journey that a client goes on when they come into our business. Clients go on an emotional journey when they come into our salon from the second they have decided that they're coming in to the second that they walk out and pay their bill. There is a whole journey that they go through. It's not just the journey of, we're going to do your hair today and here's how we do it. It's actually the emotional ups and downs that a client goes on. And it's good to know these ups and downs because some of them are obvious and you're going to look and go, well, yeah, that's obvious, but we'll talk about how you can infuse different things in there and work with the client in a different way. But some of them are unexpected. And it's good to know that because when you get resistance from a client, when a client says a lot of no's and you want them to say yes, when they're not as open, or you have someone sitting in the chair and you're talking to them and they're just like, no, 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 right? You get a lot of those as well, to understand what can be going on emotionally during that journey to talk to them. The other thing is, and anyone that's been in the industry 5 years or longer, if you're a dinosaur like me, some days I wake up and feel like it's a different industry, right? Because I've been in it for a long time and a lot of nodding heads. Even if you're newer into the industry, but you've been in for at least 5 years, you'll see dramatic changes in that 5 years. So there are many things that we'll talk about in the way that our business has changed and the industry at large has changed. One of the biggest differences, social media, right? It's becoming more and more and more and growing. So that is now our business cards, the way we're getting clients in. It's the old referral systems that we used to ask clients to do, although we should still do those, but it's a different kind of add-on to that. So the way we utilize social media for our business is totally different. The other thing that is really different is clients used to come into our businesses and they would look at it as a luxury. And they would come in, part of the reason, yes, because they needed the hair done, obviously, but they liked the pampering, right? They wanted to spend the time in our businesses. Now, they're actually looking at us as a chore. So now we're on the to-do list. Now it's, get dog food, pick up dry cleaning, drop the kids at soccer, and get my hair done, which is devastating. I hate hearing that. But if we think about it, and it's no different for us because we're consumers as well, what's the one thing that no one has enough of? Time, right? That's the one thing. And even when we do have time, sometimes we don't know how to just have time anymore. It makes us a little nervous if we just sit there. We feel like we're lazy, we shouldn't be getting off our bum, we shouldn't just be sitting there. Right, you've got your phone out, you feel like you've got to be multitasking and filling the gap. We don't know how to just kind of sit and be anymore. And that's one of the reasons, because our clients are coming into us and they're like, TikTok, right? Got places to go. Yeah, I want to look cute, and I want to look cute really quick, but places to go, people to see, TikTok, TikTok. So that's the pressure that they're putting on us as well. And because we're in that chore list, not that luxury list, they're looking at our services and our business, right, in a different way. Does that make sense? And a lot of you are nodding, so I'm sure you've seen that and you can feel the difference with clients coming in, right, how they're responding to us as well. So that's one of the big changes that we're seeing. Part of the study, and we'll get to the first one in a second, but part of the study is also asking, what are you looking for from us, from beauty professionals, when you're coming in? Because it isn't just about a good haircut now, or a good colour service, or a cute blow dry, or whatever the service is. There's more to it. The number one thing, when polled, that guests say they want from us is an expert. So that sounds obvious, right? Well, of course I'm going to go to someone that knows what they're doing, right? I'm not going to go to a butcher to get a haircut. We can agree on that. But you need to scratch it a little deeper and look at an expert. Because we know that the number one thing that no one has enough of is time, right? We're bombarded with information now. We can turn on any channel, whether it be pick up your phone and look at your Instagram or your Facebook or your Twitter or whatever social media, your Pinterest, whatever social media you use. Whoa. That's scary.
I thought I was shooting. I really did. Oh my god.
Je vais la contenter dessus.
Did you get that live?
Seriously?
That's for Dark's Day.
I
can't.
When I'm at a hair show, I'm hyper and I get excited and I think of hairdressers. That just like totally set me over the edge.
Nothing like meilleur television miałeś.
I know.
Patrzyłaś kiedyś to?
Yeah.
Okay, ja przepraszam.
I would say that's the best part of me when they see me leaving, not coming. Alright, so, sorry about that. So, expert, obviously, right? They're going to come to us because we know what we're doing. It goes a little bit deeper. We know that time is one of the things that no one feels they have enough of. We also know that everyone's bombarded with social media, with TV, with their friends. Everyone has an opinion about what you should do, what you should use, how you should do it, what you should look like, what's in now, what's in 5 minutes, right? It changes so quickly now that we used to have to wait a few months to get a new cycle of fashion or hair or whatever. Now it's like daily, right? It's changing, sometimes hourly, not even daily, depending on what Kim Kardashian's doing. So that for a consumer out there, it's overwhelming because they don't know what to do. And they nearly feel analysis paralysis, right? There's so much information out there that you just become paralyzed by having so many options and so much information. You're like, screw it, I just don't know what the hell to do. So I'm going to do nothing. Because nothing is better than making the wrong decision, right? Because that's how we all think. So that's changing the dynamic with coming in. There's also a different expectation because people are looking at things like Instagram. So now, remember back in the day, we used to have those big old passion books that were huge, and you had to like open them, and it took up a whole station because they were just monsters. Now people are coming in with their Pinterest boards, right, or Instagram, and they're flipping through so they can show us the pictures, and they have a different expectation because they're like, well, she does it. Right, she's got that hair. What do you mean I can't have green hair? She's got green hair. Why does she have green hair? I want green, right? So there's this different objective that clients have as well. What an expert does in our case, we clear the clutter, right? We cut out all the BS and we go, I know what I'm doing because I've been doing this for a really long time and here's what's going to work for you and here's how we're going to do it. So from a client's perspective, straight away that makes them go, right? Makes them exhale and like take a nice deep breath that I'm in really good hands and I'm taken care of because she knows what she's doing or he knows what he's doing and he's going to take care of me. That makes someone relax straight away because they're too overwhelmed with too much information. The second thing that clients said they wanted was value. So value used to be money. It used to be discounts, it was quantifiable, it was what are you going to give me, how much cheaper am I going to get it, what are you going to throw in, right? That was kind of the value portion of it. Value now is actually what are you going to do for me? How are you going to make me feel? Because we know we're on the to-do list, we're on the chore list, right? So they don't enjoy coming to us the way they used to. We know that time is a precious commodity. So the value is, if I'm going to spend an hour in your chair, 2 hours in your chair, half an hour in your chair, and give you my hard-earned money, how am I going to feel when I leave? How are you going to make me feel? Are you going to care about me? Are you going to value me? Is it going to be a good exchange? Because if it isn't, I'm out. Clients used to give us, and this was in the past 10 years, clients would give us up to 5 times to get it right. And they would make excuses for us sometimes. So they would say things like, my hair is really difficult, I didn't explain myself properly, it's really hard to work with, no one gets it right the first time, it takes a while to get to know my hair, right? Some of us have heard those reasonings that clients have said to us. If you think about 5 appointment times in a calendar, and let's be conservative, it's at least, 6 months? Yeah, right, about 6 months. Well, what happens after 6 months of seeing the same person? Then all of a sudden you build a relationship. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but I can't not go to her now, she's so nice. Tabatha's such a nice girl. Even though my hair's not great, it's not exactly where it is, it must be my hair, but she's so nice. You've built up that relationship. Now it's changed. Clients aren't giving us a second shot anymore. We're one and done. If you're not reaching the objective the first time, being the expert that they're looking for, taking control of it, actually reaching, if not exceeding, but at least reaching their expectation and making them feel valued, they're not even going to come back and give you a second chance. And what happens typically when they leave and they're not happy? They put it online, right? It's gone, now we've gone beyond just telling your girlfriend and bad news travels fast. Now they're going on cyberspace and it's living there and they're talking about how much they don't like it. So they're some of the challenges that we're looking at and what's changed. So step number 1 in the emotional journey that clients go through, this goes beyond just window, right? It is how you look and how you present your business, because that's reflective of how you are. I am a firm believer, and it's lovely if you have a lot of money and you have a great space and it's brand new and everything's shiny and modern and fabulous. That's great. The reality is not everyone has that, not everyone can afford it, and there are many successful businesses out there that don't have it. But what you do have is pride in your surroundings, the way you treat your business, that when someone walks in, they feel like it is well taken care of and cared for, right? And there's not dust bunnies everywhere in the salon, there's not like cobwebs and layers of dust on the retail shelves. The client goes and pulls it off and handles falling off. Because that all that says to a client is, I don't care, right? I don't care about my surroundings, which means if I don't care about my surroundings, I don't care about you either. So that's how that translates to a client. 30% of guests come in because they were attracted by window displays. This goes just, as I said, beyond the window. The trajectory that clients look at when they come into us now, everyone's best friend, Google. Google's the first one, right? Think about how you do it. You're a consumer. You Google something first, then after Google, you normally go on Instagram because you want to look at the pictures and see if it's cute. Then you'll go on Yelp and you'll read the reviews. I do it, right? I travel all the time. So the first thing I do is I'll Google restaurants in the area and see what pops up, what appeals to me. I go on Insta, look at the pictures, see if the food looks good or not. If it looks like it's a cute place, then I'll go on Yelp and see if it has a good rating, right? That's how we do things. That's how our clients and how people now are looking for us. So who has a website? Show of hands. So any business out there, you should still have a website. Websites still get traffic. There's something, and I know that you're familiar with it because you've seen it, and you may not know what it is. I just found out about it because I was actually working with Google. So, you know, when I'm in the hotel last night, I just got to Philly and I put in restaurants, and it just pops up magically. because she knows everything Google, because she's so incredibly smart, she just pops up restaurants that were like 1.3 miles, 0.2 miles, 0.5 miles. You know how it just pops up on your algorithms and your location? So a client, that happens to a client as well. That's called Google My Business. You sign up for that, it's totally free. The more information you put in, the more chance you have of popping up. So why it's important, if a client goes on and goes, pixie, braid, wedding hair, right? Whatever it is that she's looking for, your business has more of a chance to pop up when she's in your location. Does that make sense? So that's why the website's important. Obviously, she's then going to look at your Instagram page and go, oh my God, I love that work. That's amazing. We now have clients, and our studies show that we actually have clients that are flying coast to coast and everywhere in between, right? So it's not just good old New York and LA anymore. They're going all through the middle of the country and up and down to go and get their hair done by their famous Insta hairdressers, right? Because now, again, think about this. It's marketing and branding, which is what step one is. Show of hands, who believes that they're a brand out there? I want you to put your hands up. Getting there doesn't count. By the end of this, I want you there, right? I want your arm up. Every single one of you, every single person, whether you are a business owner or you're a stylist behind the chair, should have your hand up. You are a brand. And the reason it's important, and the reason I talk about to think of it this way, is because anytime a client is coming in, asking for your expertise and your knowledge, which is what our clients are coming in asking for, they want an expert, and you're giving it to them, you are a brand. You're selling your brand. The reason it's important for us to look at it is because we can step out of it a little bit and get a little bit more of an aerial view, so we're not quite so on top of it and get emotional. Hairdressers say to me all the time, I want more of this client, right? Whatever this is, whatever your dream client is. I want to charge more money, and I want, this much to be my goal of what I'm going to charge. And that's all great. That all comes down to marketing though, right? And all marketing is selling your story and telling your story. That's really what it is. So realizing that you're a brand, it's important because when you then go to utilize Instagram and utilize social media and talk about your business and talk about why you're an expert in your field, you can go deep, not wide. And when you go deep, you can touch more people, right? Because you can really offer them what your expertise is or what your passion is or what that client X is over there that you dream of, the one that you want more of. I wish I had more of her, right? Because what is it about her that you want? Maybe it's because she spends more time. Maybe because she buys retail from you. Maybe because she doesn't feel like she wants to get in and out of the salon so quickly. Maybe because she's open to new trends and different looks. Maybe whatever, right? There's a million maybes. It's personal for every single one of us of what that dream client is. But we can look at the kind of person she is and we can narrow it down and market ourselves towards that. Does that make sense? So that's why it's important. Because if you look at the brands that you love, again, we're consumers. That you love either on social media, what you're following on Instagram, or the things that you buy, there's a connection to it. We only buy things that we're connected to. We buy things that make us feel good, right? Or solve our problems. That's why we consume things. That's what we do. That's what our clients are doing to us as well. They need to come and see us to get their hair done, but ultimately they want to feel a certain way when they leave. So being able to, look at that and look at that dream client. So I'll give you a couple of my favourite brands. Sometimes it's hard to wrap your head around. It does people's head in when I ask you to think of yourself as a brand. Gentlemen, I'm not negating any of the men in the room. I just call her because it's just easier. So it can be a him. If you've got a barber shop, I'm not negating any of the guys out there. So who is she? right? The questions that you ask yourself when you're looking at your brand and you want more of her, you already know who that her is, who that ideal client is. What is she into? How much money does she make? What kind of music would she listen to? What would her hobbies be? What kind of car would she drive? What kind of clothes does she wear? What does she do on her free time? Does she work or does she not work? Is she married or is she not married? You know, you don't need to go, she's 23 and that's it, right? You can go, she's between 19 and 37 and she's, you know, started her career, she is recently married or a couple of years in, about to start a family. Does that make sense? The reason is because she's a different woman than if you said she's 45 to 60 and she's not working as much and her kids are grown. Two different incomes, yeah? Two different times available, different work on some levels, it can cross over, but different work. And she's going to look at one thing on social media or one thing you put on your website and go, yeah, I'm too old for that crap, right? And then the other one's going to go, I'm too young for that crap, right? That's how it goes. Do you see that they're the opposites? That's why it's important to ask the questions. So one of my favourite brands, and I know it's crazy, McDonald's. Food's disgusting, I can't stand the food. It's the consistency of brand that I love. So I travel a lot. I used to spend a lot of time in Asia, 3-4 weeks at a time by myself. No one spoke English. I got really sick of eating Asian food all the time. And I would get homesick. I was lonely because I was by myself. McDonald's tasted like home. I could walk into McDonald's in Shanghai where no one spoke English and say, cheeseburger, French fries and Diet Coke. The girl would smile at me, give it to me, and it would taste the same if I went to McDonald's here in Philly, right? That consistency of brand, what it does is it makes you feel comforted. You know what you're going to get. I knew that I was going to get not a very good hamburger for a really cheap price that was going to be consistently the same all over the world. So I didn't spend my money and go, hang on, I was expecting a Kobe beef burger with caramelized onions. I got exactly what I paid for, right? So that consistency as a consumer makes you really comfortable. Does that make sense? One of the other favorite brands I have is Apple. Because I don't know about you, I do not need the new iPhone. I don't. I don't need to spend that much money. There's nothing wrong with my iPhone. I take really good care of it. I don't need the new one. But as soon as I get the announcement that the waiting list is open, I'm one of the first people that signs up. Right? Even though I don't need it. Why do I do that? Because of the brand, because they're not just selling iPhones and computers, they're selling cool. And I'm of a certain age right now, and I don't feel so cool all the time. It's not as easy to feel cool anymore. But Apple makes me feel cool, because it makes me feel like I'm part of the cool kids. I got the new toy. So look how cool I am when I pull it out and my friends go, is that the new Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I don't know what it does, but yes, it is. Right? It makes me feel cool. So that brand is, yes, they're selling good technology and blah, 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 but they're selling that cool factor. That's why we're on these waiting lists. That's the hook for us, right? Some of you out there, you're selling cool as well with the work you do. You're looking for the cool kids. You're looking for the people that want that coolness. That's what you're selling, right? And then, you know, the other one is Harley Davidson. You think Harley Davidson and the picture's in your mind, right? Cool, a little bit of a bad boy or a bad girl, a little bit of a rebel in there. Like you have black leather, sexy, fast, right? You get the whole image comes into your mind when you say Harley Davidson. Could a Honda be just as good as a bike? Probably. I mean, it probably could be. Does it sound cool? Come for a ride on the back of my Honda? No. On the back of my Harley is like, Yes, please, right? So again, that's the brand that they've sold. And for us as business owners, again, whether we're a salon owner or we're a stylist behind the chair, it's important to know that. Because what you want to do is not say to some people, you can't come to me because I only do cool work. I'm only the Harley Davidson of my salon. That's not the point. But you want to, if you want more of that cool person, then you've got to say, look at me. I'm going to make you cool. I'm the cool kid. This is what I'm going to do. Your Instagram page will reflect that. The conversations you have with your clients will reflect that. The way that you sell your products will reflect that. And the work you do will reflect that. Does that make sense? And that's that consistency of brand that people feel comfortable about. So look at what that brand is. 2 is reception. So 70% of our guests feel anxious when they're entering our business for the first time. That isn't surprising. Someone's coming into you for the first time and they're feeling anxious, right? Here's again where we need to go a little deeper with this. Sometimes that anxiety is not just, oh my God, are you going to mess my hair up? Right? It's not, I'm scared, I don't know who you are. I'm scared that you're going to cut and colour my hair today. Sometimes that anxiety is because your client has a Pinterest board filled with pictures, because today's the day I'm going to cut my hair off and I'm going to go red. Today's the day that I'm going to get my wedding trial from you because I'm getting married in 6 months and I heard that you were the best and I'm really anxious. Today's the day that I've got a really hot date with that guy on Match.com and I think he could be the one and you're going to make me look sexy, right? That's where that anxiety comes from sometimes. It's not always that, oh my God, put the brakes on, freaking out, give me a Xanax, I'm scared of the unknown. It's the, I've got an expectation in my head that I need you to reach that expectation, right? We've got to translate it, we've got to understand each other and be on the same page, and here's what I'm expecting from you. Does that make sense? So the anxiety comes up. Why it's important to know this is because what happens when you're anxious? Happens to all of us. What happens when you get anxious? Things don't come across. What's the first thing you do physically when you get anxious? You go, yeah, but you know, you do that thing. Right? Before you sweat, you're like, you hold yourself in, your breath changes, you get stiff, your body tightens up. Right? Everything tightens up when you get anxious. So because that happens to our clients. It also happens to their brain. As soon as we get anxious, we close off because we can't deal with anything, right? So I can't deal with anything. I'm freaking out over here, can't deal. No, I don't want to cut my hair off. No, I don't want to buy your retail. No, I don't want to rebook with you. I just want to get the hell out, right? Because that anxiety starts to come in. And if we're not greeting our clients in the right way, and I know we know this, but because we now know how much of their anxiety comes up, if we're just saying to a client, go and sit over there, Tabatha's running 5 minutes late, she'll be with you. And they're going, over where? Where am I going to go? Which one is this Tabatha that you speak of? I don't know what you, right? That anxiety starts to come up. What happens, they paint a picture in their head. Well, this place must be really bad, and I mean, she's not even going to say hello to, and is it 5 minutes? Oh my God, it's been 6 minutes. I've been sitting here 6 minutes. My time is valuable, right? Because they're already in this anxious state. So by the time you get to them, they're closed down. Anything that you offer, doesn't matter how fabulous you are, anything you offer, they're no, because that's all that they can handle. And if you do break through those no's, you have to work so hard to be able to get them to open up and relax again. Does that make sense? We've all had those clients in our chairs, correct? We've all had that feeling when that client was in there and you're like, oh my God, you must have had a really bad day because I feel like I haven't done anything to you. This is part of the reason why. This is why it's important to know this. Step 3 is where things start to get fascinating and why step 2 is so important to remember. Step 3. 97% of stylists say they provide a full consultation every time. So I can see some of you shaking your head. Let me just stop. I've got 2 things here. Let's say some of us aren't quite telling the truth. Right? We're stretching a little bit. Could we maybe in this room agree, because 97% is high, that all hairdressers are saying that they provide a consultation every time. Could we maybe feel comfortable with 65, 70%? Could we kind of feel comfortable with that number? I've got some heads going down. Would you, oh, skeptic you over there shaking your head. Would you feel better with 40%, 50%? We're starting to get closer. So let's go with that, right? I believe 40. I'd go 40, 45 and feel pretty comfortable on that one. I'm going to just go a side road for a minute so we can talk in a different language. Show of hands, who knows Harry Potter? You don't need to be a fan, but you're aware of the phenomenon of Harry Potter. If you are a fan, you'll understand this. So Harry Potter and his people, I know I was a fan, they were wizards, yeah? And they were fabulous, and they were wizards. So for my little conversation with you here, we're the fabulous wizards, obviously. Right, so we're the wizards, we're the fabulous ones. The non-wizards in Harry Potter land were called muggles, right? Our clients are the muggles. 2 different languages are going on here. I want you to bear that in mind because it's going to get really interesting when I show you this next statistic of this consultation. Only 7% of our clients say they've ever received consultation. So, even if we go to my skeptic over here, right, thinking it's probably less than 45, even if I go down that road with you, I feel confident at 45, to be honest. I really do. But even if we go down the road of lower, the fact that only 7% of our guests feel like they've ever had a consultation is mind-blowing. Can we agree on that? So, we're the wizards that are having a conversation with the muggles, yeah? And often this is how it looks when a client comes into a salon. So you're in for a trim today. When was the last time you did it? Oh, it was about 8 weeks ago, so we're just going to take that much off because it's grown about that much. Does that sound good? Or do you want to wave? Like that loose, beachy curl that you have in there now, and we'll just kind of put that in there as well. Okay, great, go back and get washed. Sound familiar? Maybe you haven't done it, but I bet you've heard someone. Mm-hmm. Or you've looked at the appointment book, and it's in for whatever it's in for, right? It's in for a single process, or it's in for a highlight. So we're doing a highlight today, and we're just going to touch up what we've done. How blunt do you want to go? Like those ends? Okay, yeah, go. Right? We're not going deeper with the conversations or the consultations. So in Muggle land, they're like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to get. In hairdresser land, we're okay because we've kind of spoken our own language, because we know what this is, right? And we know I'm just going to zhuzh it up a little bit, right? I'm just going to zhuzh it up, and I'm going to do this, and we'll just, like put a little bit of that in there, and then we'll just dust those ends off, and I'll break it up a little bit, and it'll be all, right? We know all of this stuff, because that's our language sometimes. But when you give that to a muggle, it's a wonder even 7% feel like they've had a consultation, to be honest. So here are the questions that I ask, and I do a consultation every single time to every client. I don't care if I've done you 150 million times, and I use her all the time, and you're Betty, and you never change your hair, and it doesn't matter what I recommend, it's always the same. I'm still going to have a consultation with you because my client wants an expert, right? They've told us that in the study, and I'm going to be the expert, and I'm going to recommend something because one day You may say yes. And if I don't ask you, you won't have that opportunity. When you don't ask a client, it's like when you pre-mix up before the clients even come in. You're like, it's Betty. I'll just mix up my lighter and get those highlights going before she comes. I can see you walking across the parking lot, right? And you do that. You think you're being time effective.
Oh, God.
You're actually taking the power out of your client's hands because you're not even having that consultation. She may have decided today's the day she's going to go red. She doesn't want to do those highlights anymore. She wants to do caramel. She wants to do chocolate. She wants to go darker for the fall. But once she sees that you've mixed up, she's not going to have that conversation with you because she's going to feel uncomfortable. So the number one client conversation I always have when I do a consultation, the first question I ask, or one of the first, is what do you love about your hair? I don't want to know what they hate because there'll be a laundry list of all the things that they don't like, right? That's human nature. That's what we do. I want to know what you love. 2 reasons I want to know that. Because as soon as you've told me what you love, I know I can leave it alone, right? And it goes in my back pocket because that's what you really like about your hair and it's honest and natural. And that means I'm not going to spin my wheels and waste my time talking about changing your texture or your curl when you just love your curl, right? Or talking to you about colour when you just love your colour. We'll go in another direction. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have that conversation with you. Doesn't mean I'm not going to touch on your colour, but I'm not going to lead with that because I know you love it. And that would be a hard sell, right? Does that make sense? So that's the first thing. The next thing I want to know is who is your dream hair or what is your dream hair? If they have a celebrity in mind, that's fine. I'm totally open to it. But I want to know what is your dream hair? Because we all have it. Our clients all have it. The reason I want to know that is because even if it's a client that comes in like me with 3 hairs on their head and says, I want, Kim Kardashian, whatever. My first question is, what is it that you want of Kim Kardashian's? Is it the colour? Is it the length? Is it the texture? What is it that you want? And the second thing I'm going to do is give them a roadmap. Because if I'm working on this assumption, and this is from a global study that was done, that only 7% of clients feel like they've ever had a consultation, and I say to you, I obviously can't get your short, fine hair to Kim Kardashian's overnight, but here's how we could get you there if you really wanted to. And just spend a couple of minutes of telling a client how we could grow it out this way, change the colour which will make it look thicker and darker, put the extensions in when it gets here, and give her a little roadmap to get her there. First of all, she's going to think you are a rock star that you are because you've done that. Secondly, she's going to go, oh my God, you're such an expert. No one's ever done that for me before, right? Based on only 7% of feeling like they've had a consultation. And once you've given the client a roadmap, how can they go to anyone else? Because that person over there doesn't have the map. You do. You've got the map. I can't go over there. You've got the map. She's not going to know the map. You drew the map, right? That's how a client thinks. So it also tells them, the second part of the study when I started talking about this was value, right? Our clients are looking for value. It adds value because you value them enough to be able to come up